Okay, so let's go ahead and get through this PowerPoint, okay? All right, this will be pretty brief, but you need this before we can actually get into the classes, all right? All right, so the first part 0, right? You know, you go from 0 to 60, right? Is the introduction. Here's the start button. That's the ignition start button. We're about to get it cracking, but we got to go through a quick introduction, okay? All right, the what, right? What is the KHM holistic research paradigm, right? And why is it initiating a paradigm shift within the Israelite community, also known as the Hebrew Israelite community, right? Or Hebrew Israelism, right? So what I decided to do is break down some terms so I can go through it so that you can understand what the name of this class means, right? First acronym is KHM. KHM is short for Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, which I believe most of y'all already know. Holistic. What do you mean by holistic? Relating to or concerned with wholes or with complete systems rather than with the individual parts. Some people say, oh, Divine, why don't you teach about archaeology? Oh, Divine, why don't you teach about the Hebrew language and the Greek language? Oh, Divine, why don't you do this one? So everybody is instructing me how I should teach and what I should teach. That's not what this class is about. This class is not about one particular subject matter in regards to how we do our research. It is holistic. It deals with the entire system of knowledge that surrounds this discipline that we call the Bible. Okay. And there are so many working parts involved. One part by itself, one individual part is not enough to give you enough understanding of what is taking place in the passage. So we deal with the whole, all the data information that we can come across surrounding a particular subject matter within the discipline of studying the Bible. What is research? The systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. That is what we're going to be doing the entire time. Research. What is a paradigm? Paradigm is a model of something or a very clear and typical example of something. So a paradigm is a model, it's a set of rules that governs something. And in this case, that governs the way people do Bible study, right? There's a current model that is used among slave men, and we're saying that that is a dated model. We have to get rid of it. The word paradigm is Greek in origin, meaning pattern, and is used to illustrate similar occurrences. So when you look at paradigms, you're looking at patterns based on a set of rules, okay, that govern something. All right. Now, what is a paradigm shift? It is a fundamental change in approach or underlining assumptions. So, because there are paradigms or models with a set of rules that govern something that exists currently in Bible studies, we're going to change that. We're going to shift that with a more novel approach. And that novel approach is coming from our vantage point as Israelites and our worldview. All of that is fundamental. However, even though we have a vantage point and worldview, we're not going to allow that to skewer how we decipher the text. If anything, it is going to build a house. So we have a fundamental foundation, and we're going to build a house onto that. The problem is in our community, a lot of us, we have crooked houses, lopsided houses, houses that's missing bathrooms, that's missing kitchen, that's missing windows. People are building all types of houses on a foundation, which is our worldview, and it looks really bad out here. So when you have academia or academic based opponents, they can come and pick apart everything that you're saying and doing simply because you don't have a sure foundation. So this is going to give you that sure foundation by providing you with a novel approach that's going to shift paradigms, the current paradigms, that is going to work in our favor as Israelites. Okay. Now, the what also is, what is inductive research method? What is an inductive research method? It involves the search for patterns from observation and development of explanations or theories from those patterns or for those patterns. No theories or hypotheses would apply in inductive studies at the beginning of the research, and the researcher is free in terms of altering the direction for the study after the research process had commenced. What does that mean? That means we're not starting with any of our own ideas, assumptions, presuppositions, preconceived notions. We're not starting with dogma. We're not starting with any of that stuff, right? All of that stuff is going to be pushed by the wayside, and we're going to work from the ground up, right? This approach aims to generate meanings from the data set collected in order to identify patterns and relationships to build a theory. So what we're going to do is start from the ground up, look at these patterns, right? Do various analyses, right? Collect data, right? And then from that, we're going to form a theory that is going to be based off the preponderance of the evidence. And we're going to get into what that means, or where the weight of the evidence lies at the conclusion of our research, right? So this is something that is not done in our community. There is no real institute. Well, there's an institute, but this is pretty much going to prep you if you want to go sign up for an institute within our community that takes this to the next level, right? This is for a general public, right? You don't have to have any degrees, any prior knowledge on research or methodology, any academic background. You don't need any of this. This is even worthwhile for teenagers, right? That's coming into the truth, right? So you don't need any of that to join. You don't need no credits or anything like that. This is a general purpose academic course, right? And it's designed for anybody. You could be 80, 90 years old. You could be 12, 13, right? All you have to do is have an interest, a focus, determination, and persistence, and we will get you through this. And once you have this down pat, you'll be able to use this at any time when you come across any passage, no matter how difficult it may be. Okay. All right. Next. All right, the why, right? Most people address the Bible with a presuppositional disposition. They bring in their theological biases, Judeo-Christian for most of us, experiences and assumptions when examining the text. They typically use a deductive reasoning approach, which can simply be confirmation bias. That means they're looking for information that agrees with their position. This is a dated paradigm, largely influenced by dogma. Dogma is a statement or belief that is supposed to be upheld and is incontrovertibly true by a religious body. The KHM holistic research paradigm is a novel approach designed to resolve the typically dated approach to the text and introduce a paradigm shift in studying the Bible. This will allow the most objective understanding possible to be unveiled. I apologize for some of the typos. I think that this draft portion did not update and didn't take the update that I did. So I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna correct it, because this PowerPoint will also be available to everybody here that is watching this. You won't have access to this PowerPoint. Okay. So that's the why. That's the why this course exists, right? So that's very important. So first we did the what. What is it? Why does it exist? And how? The how. How do we apply the KHM holistic research paradigm for Bible study? We utilize an inductive research method. We start off with a research problem, inquiry, or statement. We generate a hypothesis based off our current understanding. Then we place this assumption through a process which consists of a series of analyses working from the ground up. We end up with a conclusion based on the preponderance of the evidence. This becomes our thesis, which we now conform our prior understanding to. Sometimes we'll be faced with the serious decision. Should we adopt and apply the results of our findings, or abandon it altogether if it disagrees with our belief system? And this is the thing that this is going to do. It's going to challenge your belief system. What does that mean? It can challenge it for the good, or it can challenge it for the worse. It depends, because this method that we're using is going to give you an objective understanding of the scriptures. And then you have to look at your current paradigm, your current model, and say, hey, does it need to conform to this new understanding, or am I not ready for it? Am I apprehensive? Everybody in here should be ready to say, whatever the objective truth is, I'm going to go for it. This is, again, going to challenge you. You have to be ready for that challenge. And I guarantee, while we go through this process, you are going to discover some things that is wholly opposite and adverse to what you believe prior, right? And the goal is to pray about it and let the Ruach lead you to, hey, should I conform to this, right? This is life altering, life changing. Should I conform to this, right? You got to be ready for this. This is not no regular Bible study. The stuff that we get in our community is nothing like this. This is a totally different level than what we get in our community, right? And you're not going to really get it anywhere else in our community unless y'all start teaching it, okay? Which is my goal, to get y'all to start teaching, all right? All right, let's get to the next slide. Now, part one. Now we start getting to the meat, all right? Pause. Part one, methodology. What is the methodology? All that intro sounds good. And what is the methodology? Okay. Before starting your research, there are 3 things that you're going to do, right? Generate a problem, inquiry, or statement. This is very important, and this begins the research methodology, right? Discover a passage that is difficult to understand, has a lot of controversial positions, or one you are most curious about the real or true understanding behind, right? So in order to do that, you have to generate a problem, inquiry, or statement. Generating a problem is you get to something and say, wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. This is an issue. Why doesn't this read properly? Why doesn't this make sense? Why is this here? It's a problem, right? And or inquiry. Hey, I wonder what this means. I wonder what that means. I wonder what this means. I wonder why it says this. I wonder why it says not really a problem that seems like it's incoherent or doesn't agree with the surrounding patches, but something that's just a general inquiry that you have and say, wow, I wonder this, the what, who, why, when, how. I wonder this, I wonder that, then, and, or you create a statement. The Bible says this. Is it true? I've been taught this. Is it true? Based on the Bible. Is it true? That is how you begin. Can't do methodology without that. After that's done, then it's like, okay, what do I know about the Bible, right, currently? Because the literature review is the next stage, and it's conducted to evaluate the state of knowledge on a particular topic. What do I know already about the Bible that addresses this particular inquiry, problem, or statement, right? And is it sufficient based on what I currently know about the Bible? And then from there, you jump to a hypothesis. It's a supposition or proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. So your literature review, which will be the scriptural review, is going to, you're going to use it to say, okay, based on that problem, inquiry, or statement, what I know about the Bible, is it sufficient enough to address that problem, inquiry, or statement? Obviously, it's not going to, because you wouldn't be using this method. So you say, okay, based on what I know, this is my conclusion at this current time, based on the limited study that I did, right? It's the starting point for further investigation. And I guesstimate that the conclusion is going to be this, or that. All right. This is the first part before you get to the real methods. Okay. Generate a problem, inquiry, or statement, literature review or scriptural review, and your hypothesis. Okay.